And good morning, everyone. Happy Monday morning to you. Welcome back to Morning Musings. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. And we're sharing some thoughts with you about the eschatology of the parables, and we've kind of segued into a study of the nature of the kingdom. Why is that? Well, because in parable after parable, Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is like. The question is critical to understand. What is the nature of the kingdom that Jesus said he was going to establish? The dispensationalists tell us that the time is coming when Jesus comes again and he is going to personally stomp the blood out of 200 million soldiers, his enemies. I heard a dispensational speakers say that very thing, that Jesus himself is going to destroy, physically kill all of his enemies. Well, guess what? Postmillennialism and some forms of amillennialists say we're going to have a physical kingdom. Jesus will rule with a rod of iron. Some, historically, have said, hey, kill the enemies of Christ. Where do you think Augustine got his concept of two swords? The nature of the kingdom is absolutely critical to understand. In Luke 16:16, and by the way, several of you, thank you so much for contacting me about this passage and asking me. It was on my docket to discuss. But several of you have asked me about, well, what does Luke 16:16 mean? The law and the prophets were until John. Since then, the kingdom of heaven is preached, and violent men, translations vary, take it by force, or violent men press into it, or, something to that extent. But the idea is there are violent men trying to take the kingdom. Now look, if dispensationalism is correct, then what's wrong with that view? But Jesus was obviously opposed to violent men and the kingdom. There is a disparity here between the kingdom of Christ and those who would say that if you are in the kingdom and you are a dissenter, you're a heretic, what have you, you need a bullet to the brain. What Jesus was doing here was making a brief, somewhat poignant, if you please, comment on his day. You see, when Jesus was living, and shortly before and certainly afterwards, there were all sorts of messianic movements. Acts chapter 5 lists some who had appeared prior to the time of Jesus. And they were men who sought to establish the kingdom by force. They wanted an earthly, physical kingdom, just like the dispensationalists, just like dominionists and some forms of amillennialists. A physical kingdom. Jesus categorically rejected that type of kingdom. I've already alluded to the fact that Jesus, as he was being led out, asked his disciples, how many swords do you have? I think I said 3, but it's actually 2. Peter said, there are 2 here. And Jesus said, well, it's more than enough. More than enough? Lord, are you going to multiply swords like you did the loaves and the fishes? No. My kingdom is not of this world, about which we'll have more to say later. Look, folks, it's really critical for us to understand that the kingdom of God, the kingdom of Christ, is not a kingdom like the Old Covenant kingdom. The Old Covenant kingdom was taken by force. It was entered by force, you might even say. It spread by force. Joshua went into the land, conquered the land physically with military might, killing the enemies of God. Jesus said, that's not my kingdom. My kingdom is not advanced. It is not defended by the sword. That's a huge, huge contrast. All of the kingdoms of this world seek to be established by force. They seek to advance by force. They seek to be defended by force. Jesus' kingdom is not of this world. You know, this is all related to the Battle of Armageddon, in which Jesus supposedly destroys all of his physical enemies and establishes this physical kingdom. You need to get a copy of my book, Blast from the Past, The Truth About Armageddon. This little book will absolutely blow your mind as it establishes the reality. Guess what? Battle of Armageddon's already over. And guess what? Christ won. Go to my website, eschatology.org or BibleProphecy.com. Order the little book, Blast from the Past. I'll nearly guarantee you, if you're looking for a physical kingdom, this little book will change your mind. Thanks for joining me for this morning's Morning Musings. We have a whole lot more on the nature of the kingdom, and we'll explore that on the flip side, so we'll see you there.